let the record show we have a quorum. I'd like to thank Mr. Godwin for coming out of the sick leave to join us so we could have a quorum. I will. She did. All right. Okay. So that's good. When Ms. Natali is able to make it, she's been held up unavoidably. We will excuse you, Mr. Godwin, if you would like to. Okay. Well, I'm just saying, you're not feeling so well. All right. Mr. Bannon.
Mr. Natali asks you to take the invocation. Everybody, please stand. As we pray tonight, pray for the Bonadeo family. Rejoice that Kathy's, if you are a believer, is probably enjoying and dancing with God right now. So we'll have a moment of silence. Amen.
Remain standing for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll start with public comment. Any public comments?
There was one, but she left.
I think the only one we had is left. Anything? No. All right. So with that, we will move on to approval of the agenda format. May I hear a motion for the approval?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
The approval is carried for the agenda. Approval of the minutes. May I hear a motion for the approval of the minutes?
I'll make the motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. The minutes are approved as presented. And let us now start with the treasurer's report.
Right on page 1, the total cash on hand is $753,003. This is a decrease of $185,984 from September's month end. There was a $120,000 debt service payment in October, and fall is just a lean cash inflow period for us. The total restricted or reserve cash is $1,365,475. Total cash in all accounts as of October 31st was $2,118,478. We have the next debt service payment due January 20th. That's for $26,964. It's an interest payment on the 2006 general obligation public improvement bond. Credit card fees were 3.41% of total credit card receipts in October. Since the percentage of fees has remained the same since I started reporting it, would you prefer me to remove that and just report if there's a change, or do you still want to see it in the month?
I'm fine with that, if that's less work. Is it anybody in council have an objection? The goal of doing this was to see if it was worthwhile to not accept credit cards anymore. And I don't know if it really will be. We'll probably have, what, $2,000 in fees that we pay by the end of the year or something like that. So we can discuss that. It's not a lot of money, and it is a convenience for people, but let's see how it goes. Okay, so, yeah, so just report.
I'll let you know if there's a change, if we're able to reduce some, we're going to increase some. Page 2.
John, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Sorry.
No need to apologize, not at all.
On page 2. The general fund shows year-to-date revenue of $478,000 and year-to-date expenses of $723,000 for a net balance of negative $245,000. This is not a result of budget shortfalls or overspending, but simply that falls a dry revenue period. Public Utilities Fund shows year-to-date revenue of $608,000 and year-to-date expenses of $586,000 for a net balance of $22,000. Harbor Fund shows year-to-date revenue of $427,000, expenses of $444,500 for a net balance of minus $17,000. Sanitation fund shows year-to-date revenue of $59.6 thousand and year-to-date expenses of $41.5 thousand for a net balance of $18,000. Capital projects. Total payments of $39,000 were made on capital projects in October. The police chief's new vehicle is now in service. Short scan project is complete, and payments were made for consulting work on the trail, the wells, and the Pine Street parking lot. To date, we're at 4% of budget completion for capital projects for this fiscal year. Page 4 shows tax collection statistics. We're still reporting 2013 real estate tax just for October. We made it to 97% of total bills mailed for the year. I'm sure we'll still keep collecting throughout the year. Yes. And then 2014 personal property tax. The bills went out in October, so we've collected a little bit. We had quite a few adjustments to make as the bills went out. People called the county and we got some exonerations and adjustments. So there's 4.6 thousand in adjustments, total collected 2.5 thousand, but they're not due till December 5th. And then 2015 year-to-date prior real estate tax, personal property tax, interest and penalty collections, we're already at 49% of budget. That's 433. Page 5, the year-to-date tax revenue comparison over fiscal years 2013, 14, and 15. There was recently reported a $260,000 sales and use tax, meals, and transient occupancy tax revenue shortfall by Northampton County. To the best of my understanding, the county receives their sales tax distributions from both the 1% local share and the 4% state share, or we only get the 1%. So that the town is receiving less than anticipated of our 1% local share to date, but at the current rate, the total shortfall should be around 10,000, which we should be able to absorb with only minor adjustments. Our total budget is only 40,000. Do you have any more questions on that? Meals tax revenue has increased by only $400 over last year. However, transient occupancy tax has increased by $4,500, which reflects an increase in rental income of $150,000 to the rental owners just over last year.
Was some of that also due to the fact that we now are capturing more of the transient occupancy tax because people are actually paying it as opposed to?
We've added a few, but I think people are just doing better too. Captured a few that haven't been paying, but not enough to make up that.
Okay.
I think we just have more people renting.
Okay.
Meals income increases to business owners was only $8,000. Efforts are being made to ensure all vacation rental owners file their transient occupancy taxes, as it's evidence that there are plenty that aren't. So we're working really hard to capture everyone. People are responding to the mail out. We sent out the large mail out, so we're updating the database. And we've gotten some that we thought should be paying that are no longer. They have long-term renters now, but we also have quite a few that apologize that they just haven't filed all year. So they're going to get done with it. Are there any questions?
I have one, if I might, and it's more of a request. If it's possible, without a lot of trouble, do you think in future 3-year revenue compares and charts that you can show at the end of the fiscal year 2015 the current dollar amount of thousands?
Well, it's down at the. You mean first at the bottom?
No, I mean at the end of
At the end of each column.
each of the 2015.
If you don't mind, it's ugly. I have to type it in. I mean, just write it in. You mind?
I know.
Won't be very pretty.
I don't care.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, that I can do.
it makes life a lot easier to see the exact number as opposed to approximating. Just
Okay.
like,
First, I mean, but if you travel down, you're right there. It is a large.
yeah.
Yeah, as long as you don't mind me handwriting it. It'll be fine.
If that's the easiest way, that's fine with me. Thank you.
The year-to-date real estate taxes are way down compared to the other years.
Now, I looked, and I think the bills went out earlier in 2000, and those are actually, Edmonds doesn't doesn't move the property tax collections to the prior year, I believe until December 31st. So those are actually prior year collections. But it looks also like in 2013 that the bills might have gone out a little bit earlier. The bills went out at the end of October, so we probably got
That's that big a
the
difference.
derby. Well, it's only,
Because it looks like it just goes down from one year to the next to the next.
and I think it's just the bills went out later every year. We get the file later and later.
Okay.
The total tax revenue has not gone down, it's just the period that we received it.
Okay.
It's shifted.
Okay.
It doesn't. Anything else?
I don't think so. Any questions from anyone on this? I want a motion to accept the treasurer's report as read.
So moved.
I need a roll call vote for this, starting with the tally. No, we do not? We do not. I spoke. So, all in favor of accepting the treasurer's report, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Planning Commission and boards.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that. Rob was kind enough to prepare this before we started. We are still waiting for DCR's approval of the revised ordinance for the floodplain ordinance. We did incorporate their comments, and that was agreed to by the Planning Commission. No Planning Commission member had any issue with that. Once we get their approval of that, then we'll go ahead and schedule a public hearing for the ordinance and adopt it. The contract has been awarded for the clearing of the spoil site. We do not have to worry about any ENS measures on that. The Virginia Department of Environmental Quality is handling that for us. And then the parking lot, there's a report here from the Planning Commission. They evaluated the parking lot options at the last meeting. I think it's fair to say that they all agree that the property ought to be utilized for parking. There was no concern about that. They, as you see, desired a report of the arborist on the liability of the tree. I have gotten a price on that. As a sub-consultant to our consultant land studio, it would be $790 to obtain that report. I'm going to push back on that a little bit if you don't mind. You'll have a report on the viability of the tree, but you're still going to have to make a decision on whether you want a tree in the middle of the parking lot. Just to refresh your memory, 34 spaces without the tree, 30 spaces with the tree, and if you look at the layout, you're probably talking about 28 effective spaces because 2 of them are still going to be under the canopy of the tree. So you're looking at a reduction of parking of almost 12%, and probably closer to 18% with the other 2 spaces. So before I commit that money on the contract, I would like council to think about that.
Do we need to make that decision at this meeting? I think we probably do move forward with this. Is that correct?
Well, you can make it at any time, but I would prefer not to move forward unless you want me to move forward.
Is there any discussion on this?
I've already pointed out that the reason the Planning Commission wanted an arborist report was to determine whether or not they felt the tree was alive and able to be saved, and how much damage might occur if the trunk were impacted.
The roots. The roots, you mean?
The trunk roots, yeah.
It,
They know, that it's a signature tree in town, it's an old tree, and we're a little loath to cut down a tree of that size and stature without knowing whether or not, if it's going to die anyway, that's one thing. If it seems like it's going to live, then we have to face that issue and address it head-on.
right, just to be sure I understand, there are 2 issues. One of them is will it die? Is it likely to die within a few years after putting it in the parking lot? The second is it sick now? Is it at the end of its life now?
And I said.
Yeah, I just want to be sure, I got it.
Okay.
It's two related items. Okay. So, any comments from anyone?
I'm not sure, but I would park in the parking lot under a pecan tree.
Okay?
I wouldn't either. I got one right next to me.
Mr. Godwin?
I don't know. It didn't bother me one way or the other. Those trees are one of the most destructive trees in any kind of windstorm because the branches are so brittle and heavy, particularly in the fall when they're heavy bearing with picking.
I think the tree's got to go. I do believe that. But it's such a big tree, and we have fought so long to stop people from cutting trees down in the town and try to regulate that they just come to make it like a desert. But I think the tree has to go.
If you look back on the electrical service we've had in town in the past 5 years, we've lost power on that block because of that tree. Branches will break off and go down across the power lines and cause a fuse.
That's interesting information, and it's new to me. I suspect it's probably new to the planning commissioners in total. I'll report back.
Okay, so we're gonna delay making a decision on this for tonight. Bob holds off on placing the contract. Can we put this on the next work session to direct Bob one way or the other? Will we have time to do that? Joan, would you have time to get feedback from the planning commission one way or the other on this?
Well, we're meeting in December, right?
Yeah, December 4th.
Yeah, December 4th.
Yeah, can we do that at the December 4th work session? I think we can.
And the next December 4th is
It's a Thursday.
Thursday.
Yes.
December, the next planning commission meeting will
Well, the next planning commission regular meeting isn't until January because the December 2nd one is the public session. That's right.
Well,
That's right.
we won't have a meeting before, the planning commission won't have a meeting before then.
what's the time you allot? I mean,
There's no timing, I mean, it just depends on
There's no rush.
that's my point. Do we have contracts that we have to let, we have to let relative to doing that?
It's just, it's,
Are we delaying something we know is going to happen? We vote on it tonight?
let me just comment, it's simply how long you want to delay.
Drag this on.
Moving forward with final design and contracting for the parking lot design.
Speaking for the squirrels, I would say we should move forward.
Any other comments on that?
Well, no, not the squirrels, but, I have no problem saying that we should take the tree down
My only comment would be,
as part of the parking lot
if that was
construction.
a consensus of the council, we should have referred it to the planning commission with that proviso, evaluate the plans and requirements for making that a parking lot, but we intend to have the tree removed, so don't worry about it. Yeah, Jen.
I think, didn't the planning commission already make their recommendations by removing the tree?
No,
No.
no, we're
Planning
waiting for the results of the arborist
Right.
to make a just informed decision.
When are we gonna get the results, or you have,
I have a contract report, and
so that's the $790.
That's a lot of money.
At the time, the planning commission had this discussion, we had no idea the cost.
Well, I think that'd be a good idea to just have it, spend that $790, so at least backs the county up on what our thoughts are.
Or it doesn't, or it just says it's perfectly healthy and will live on, or there's a reasonable chance it will live
Just
on.
have to eat the bullet.
Well, I think you make a good point, Steve.
well, again, my only concern is that
Right.
if we're gonna do is 18% of the parking. And it's roughly a 50K project. Those become pretty expensive parking spaces with 18%.
I make a motion to take the tree down.
Any further discussion?
A second.
Well, I'd like you to amend it, because I don't want it to be said that we're going to take it down in advance of the parking lot construction. I think that the tree should come down as part of the parking lot construction,
Okay.
because I don't want to cut it down now. Because
Right,
we, maybe 2 years or 4 years before we can afford to build a parking lot.
okay. All right, so I have a motion, I have a second, and I have an amendment. Strictly speaking, we have to vote on the amendment first.
Well, Chris can amend it.
I acquiesce to.
All right. Okay,
I'll second the amendment.
second amendment. Is there any further discussion on this? John, Tom?
Based on what's handled, that tree go down, if it's part of the problem in there.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried unanimously, as amended.
The only thing, no new applications for HDRB. And the one thing I would add is that Bay Creek is planning a project on the golf course to install sheet pile in the dune system on the Nicholas 4 and 5, which has eroded terribly. They have submitted an application for an exception from the Chesapeake Bay Protection Overlay District portion of our zoning ordinance to allow them to do that. That is provided for in the regulation to request an exception because it is in the resource protection area, and we will be referring that to the Board of Zoning Appeals for review, and the ordinance requires a copy of that to the Planning Commission so that the Planning Commission can provide any input that they would like to the BCA. So that will be moving forward.
Okay,
A big project, $1.2 million. It's about 1,000 feet of sheet pile.
good. Anything else from the commission? That's it? Planning, well, I know we gotta do code enforcement, so.
Right.
Okay.
I don't have anything to add to my report unless anyone has any questions or any concerns or as you can see it's busy.
Still looking good. I'm happy with this. All right, if there are no further questions?
Thank you.
Please, thank you. Town Harbor.
I have nothing other to add my report unless anybody has any questions.
You're sick too, huh? Still. Anything else? Library.
I just wanted to state that December will be Food for Fines Month at the library, so if you have fines, bring in a can of food, get $1 for each can of food you bring in. Also, Andrew Barber is going to be at the library on December 9th at 11 o'clock, and he's reading the Twisted Christmas Carol. This will be the third year, I believe, he's read at the library. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you very much. On our way to setting a record for this meeting. We started 20 minutes late. And we started 20 minutes late.
Just a couple things. We're making progress in getting neighborhood watch started. Freed up a couple of cases, so now we'll spend a little time on this, getting packets together. We're making progress in that. Also received a package from Project Safe Child. It's a firearms, gun safety kind of deal. So we'll probably do a little class on that, maybe start with Christian school or something. It's just teach you how also people can stop by and grab one too, and just for safety too. So that's it, other than what's on the report.
I think that this gun safety course is a great idea. When I was a kid, my best friend's father had been in the Marines. He grew up in his 45 home. So we went into his house, we were playing, and what would he do? He'd go to his father's top drawer, get the 45 out, and we were around there playing with it, and just happy as clams, and not knowing what we were doing. Now, I will say, when his father got home and found out, I heard some screams from across the alley. So his father was unhappy about that. This is good, best not to take any chances.
Right, it was a free program
Okay,
from
that's great.
National Shooting Sports. So they put it on, and I got so much in the packages. I called them to make sure I didn't have the bill coming. It was a lot. I was like, wait a minute. But I just had to write a letter to the senators and representatives, telling them how much we appreciate the project and hope it continues. So that's all we had to do. So we got a lot of literature. It's pretty nice.
Good, terrific. Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to note that I've been dealing with Chief Good, and hopefully in January we'll be setting up a meeting with some of the Bay Creek property owners so they understand what the Cape House Police can and can't do within the Bay Creek property itself. He's going to give me a couple of dates on a weekend or Saturday, and we're going to try and set something up.
Super. Great, thank you. Thank you, Jim. Dave? Utilities?
I don't have anything to add to my report. If anybody's got any questions?
Anything?
Any time scheduled to do the upstairs of the library? I know it's on this year's budget. To do the second floor, which is, I think you're going to be planning for.
Heating and air.
Yeah.
No, I don't have the time schedule.
Oh, yes, you do.
Do I? Oh, well, I guess I do.
Yes, you do.
Okay, so I don't have one with me. But you do.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
February or March 2015.
Yeah, you got it?
That's what the capital project.
Yeah, they got it. They're already on. These things. Anybody else?
It's okay to smack him.
It's pretty slick.
Yeah.
Okay.
You should be sitting here.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Dave. And nothing on order. There we are.
I don't really have anything. We have soccer goals if anybody is happy about playing soccer in the park. We have new soccer goals in the park.
Somebody's very happy.
Yes, yes,
Are they out there now?
yes. Well, one is, and the other one's being put together. So, well, I think we should have two.
Yeah,
We can play a whole game.
one team's
And
had
they
it.
have, yeah, I bet I could play all 30 seconds these days. Do they have to be staked down?
They do. That's per insurance guidelines and a legend, which I need to remind people. Yes, they do. By law, they have to. So we will work out a way to move them around so we don't tear the grass up too.
And we know where the plumbing is for the irrigation, so we're going to state the plumbing.
Sure. It's on the street.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you get a leak. Now, we have an idea. You can, I believe Jim's told me, you can come and see
All
where
right.
stuff is. So.
And then you're having a meeting at the playground, trying to go for the.
Yes, we will be meeting in early December about the playground equipment. CCP met, and they're very excited. Again, for insurance guidelines, what we have is not what they'd like for us to have, so we're looking into purchasing some new equipment. And we have a citizen that is just very excited for us and wants to get us moving quickly, and is helping us explore some grant opportunities, which is really great. So maybe we can take some burden off.
That's December 3rd.
Second one, I think. Third, did we definitely, yes, December third.
Yeah, third.
So this is the last email.
But no time.
Okay, you're right, you're
No
correct, I
problem.
did read that. Yes, and I will update you guys as I know what's going on. So,
But we
yes,
can
very
come,
exciting.
we can
Yes.
come to the meetings also, December 3rd.
Yes, definitely. And the storyboard
boards in my office if anybody wants to stop by and take a look, or I can even email out what we chose for the new program. So
Great.
it'll have the one solid piece, and then it's got a couple of Tito powers and bouncy toys and a rock wall.
Any other questions?
I have one,
Go ahead.
and I apologize if it's already been done, and I went over my head. But do we have guidelines yet for the use of this building?
We do, yes, we do. We had presented them a couple months back, and we kind of left it open that if there were any comments from council, we would make the changes, and we didn't get any single round.
So it's official?
Yes.
So I can notify someone who's been asking me.
Yes, definitely. You can contact me with any questions. It is on the website, or I can send out.
We have a schedule also, when
Yes,
it's
there's
available.
definitely, there's certain hours and keep down.
Is anybody
Is this the new one? Revised?
No, everybody's been very understanding and, having a set schedule, I think, comes at. We give them some nights, I think we even may have given nights and evenings, so it's like
9 p.m. on Wednesdays and Fridays, up to 9 p.m.
we try to schedule it when staff is here, so we don't have to use staff time to open and close the building, so we can use our time for other things.
Good, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much. I believe that completes the department reports. All business. We have an update on the PSA proposed order.
Okay, PSA, this is really a two-part report, one on the activities of the PSA board and pushing the project forward, and the second on the PSA subcommittee. So I'll address the PSA board first. Actually, we had now 2 meetings since the last report, October 21st, and at that meeting, PSA board approved policies associated with actual installation of the system, concentrating on ownership, grinder pumps, laterals, that type of thing. And then we had a meeting Tuesday night, and the main order of business Tuesday night was to authorize the chairman to execute the amendment to the Hurt and Profit Engineering contract. Upon approval by the Board of Supervisors of moving forward with the system, which of course would entail underwriting of the debt that the PSA would incur, as well as passing a mandatory connection ordinance. That amendment would carry the effort through final engineering, preparation of bid documents, bid assistance, and contract administration inspection, roughly $110,000. So we are ready, and now we will just have to continue negotiating the agreement and having the Board of Supervisors pull the trigger, so to speak. The second part of the report focuses on the PSA subcommittee. I apologize, I was not at the meeting. I was watching Book of Mormon over in Chrysler Hall at that time. But luckily, we have 2 subcommittee members here, and I've talked to 3 of the subcommittee members as well as the executive director, and I think there's consensus that there was good progress made, and that there are a couple of remaining issues, obviously, principally connection charges, how that's going to be handled, as well as the what kind of overlay district we might be able to have the County Board of Supervisors approve to better participate in growth decisions out on the highway. And right now, the executive director is starting to draft the agreement. It will be a first draft. It will have to be refined, I'm sure, many times. So, did I capture that pretty well?
Yes.
And I promise I'll be at the next one. Questions?
Well, two elements of the town's proposal, connection charge and the incentive and overlay district will require additional discussion. Can you give us a sense of what people were saying, either of you, about that?
Say that again,
Well, in Bob's report, two elements of the town's proposal, connection charges and the extent of an overlay district will require additional discussion. Can you give us a sense of how that takes review?
You mean through the committee or or just council?
Through the subcommittee, the BSA subcommittee.
Well, I think we correct me if I'm wrong, they wanted, rather than a fixed price on the rate per gallon, we would go with a percentage over our cost, so which we don't have to go back yearly and change that rate. It would be always a percentage based on what our cost of operation is. That was one of the key elements. And the overlay district, they kind of looked at us on the banks there, I wasn't going to mention the overlay.
They looked at us with a blank stare because they said that they were unaware that the town was interested not only in the overlay district for 184 and 642, but also a mile north and south on the 13. And they said, first time we're hearing that. And they said, besides, that's outside the purview of this committee, that's the board of supervisors decision. And we said, fine, we will report that.
Okay, so we need to let that sort of sit for a while. I'm thinking that we may need to have a closed session on further negotiations down the road.
I think that's an excellent point. Otherwise, we're not negotiating.
Exactly. So we'll make sure that that happens fairly quickly. The other piece of it was the facilities connection piece. How was that viewed? Because I can't imagine not charging the same out there as we charge in town.
Their basic response was that the facility connection fees are paid to the PSA because the PSA is the one who is contracting with the individual property owners, and we haven't done anything in terms of our negotiations saying that may be, but we want a cut or we want something, and what we haven't gotten that far, so that's something else
We need to discuss. Okay. So do you have any questions? Anybody have any questions?
I think the board of supervisors got some hurdles to jump through before we even get back to the negotiation part of it. I mean, some major hurdles.
Okay.
And they are, I think, a bit distracted right now with other issues.
Yeah.
That's a pretty steady state in there.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on. That was the end of old business. New business. We have a Northampton County funding request. We're requesting funding from the county.
Northampton County is preparing for their 2016 budget, and to that end, they've requested any submissions or requests we may have to be submitted by December 1st. Last year, we asked for a total of $133,000. Cape Charles Memorial Library, Cape Charles Computer Training Lab, 4th of July fireworks, beach operations, and offshore breakwater project. What we received were $20,000 for the operations of the library, and they also provided some assistance to the tall ships initiative. This year, we plan on requesting also for the library again for $30,000. July 4th fireworks display, $8,000 of a $15,000 budget to request from the county. The beach safety operations, we were going to ask for $10,000 of a $75,000 budget, and the offshore breakwater, we were going to ask for $75,000 of an $860,000 project. The total request will be $123,000. It's not known at this time that the state has a shortfall, which will, of course, will trickle down to Northampton County, so we don't know if their budget will be equal to or less than it was for this fiscal year. So with those unknowns, we can only ask, and if you all have anything to add or like anything changed, take some input.
Well, the likelihood of us getting more than last year.
We asked for 10,000 less.
Well, the likelihood of getting what we asked for already is, I think, is pretty slim. But I'll tell you what, if there are things you think we need, we ought to ask for them. Only question I got is, do we have to prioritize these, or do we just get a bucket of money that we can spend as we wish? In other words,
They specifically say.
so
it's
what I'd say, the only thing I would say is maybe we ought to prioritize these. And I take input from the council in terms of what, if this is the priority, that's fine. I might readjust things.
Historically, the only place that ever got any money was the library, and that used to be,
That better be first.
that used to be 15,000.
That's fine.
That's fine. Now it's up to 20. And they threw in money to the festival.
And another thing for prioritizing, the argument for the need or requirement for the county government, the benefit that they reap from this program, so that might be another thing. Prioritize those, we might have more chances.
Leverage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I would say the offshore breakwater project certainly is high on the list. You guys agree? You all agree on that?
I'm not sure that I agree, only because I don't understand the rationale for 10,000 out of 75,000 for the beach safety, when clearly a large majority, I think, of the people who go to our beach are county residents. And so they should be having more in terms of their participation. They're not paying for the beach. We're paying for the beach. Their people are using the beach, and they continue to not help us keep the beach and improve it and make it more safe. And I think at some point in the future, we could be well justified in considering seriously some sort of a fee for using our beach for non-town people.
And maybe we take the signs down on the highway that say public beach and free beer.
I didn't see the free beer.
Here.
That's just my 2 cents worth, but you know, I mean.
No, I mean, I had the same question last year, and every year that, when we upped it from just the library and the fireworks to adding other things in there, there's no basis for what we asked for, but there's no basis for what they give us either. Well, there's a basis, it's nothing.
Right.
But if you don't ask, you'll never get it.
Right, the fireworks are expensive, and 99% of the people at the fireworks.
50% of the county.
I mean, everything is the same way.
I agree.
What do we need the most of these
Library.
items?
Library.
Okay, what do we need next most?
I think they order their end is perfect.
You like them like they are?
One comment I would make that Northampton County over the last several years has been refining their budget preparation system, and now they've provided us budget exhibits to prepare, and we are, Deb's going to take the lead on that. Liv's going to take the lead on preparing the letter for the mayor's signature, and we're going to strongly make the case for all of these projects that contribute to economic development in the county as a whole. Not just for town.
Do we
Is this the first year that we'll be doing that? Or did we do that last year?
Last year, I think they started last year
They
with.
just gave us a spreadsheet.
Oh, just a spreadsheet last year. This
But now
year,
they're having
it's.
some more formal
Yes.
backup.
Yes.
So this is going to tell us how much revenue they get from us?
No.
No.
No, it's just.
Okay.
We're going to explain why
It's
they
just
did
going
it.
to require additional justification for the request.
Okay, so
So we can make our case better.
Yes.
right, so I'm wondering the other thing. I want this for another reason as well. As you and I have discussed, I'd like to understand how much revenue the county gets from the town. There's real estate taxes, there's personal property taxes, there are business property taxes, meals taxes, transient occupancy tax, and sales tax. And as we discussed, most of the sales tax that we collect here goes elsewhere. And that's fine, it goes for schools and so on, it's a good thing, but I think we need to make a case that the town is an economic engine for the county.
Okay, I mean, it's going to be a repeat
Yeah, right, and I know the county is gonna be in bad shape this year. So, you know, we shouldn't be greedy and be rational, but I think we want this on the table.
We can at least ask and we can make the request,
Yeah.
powerful statement, so that would be done.
And so we'll make these,
So include all of them? That would be great, include everything?
all of these,
Okay.
and in the order that they are in the priorities. So I'm fine with that, whatever.
All right.
Okay?
I would like to make one comment, in the paragraph, I don't know that it has any way to include in the feedback. The town will request the county to continue its efforts in some of the other things.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Because if you do that, could you consider including both Tall Ships Initiative and the Birding and Wildlife Festival Initiative?
They're both under Event-Tacular?
They're both under
Yes,
Event-Tacular.
yeah, we will,
I think we shouldn't be playing favorites, one or the other.
Well, just make it an event-tacular then, instead of calling out tall ships and
You
birding.
can put in parentheses the two projects.
Okay, I don't know if
Yes.
event-tacular will be having additional projects as
No,
time
they will
goes
not.
on. That's it,
That's it for this year, probably next year coming.
fine.
now, and we won't have to do a budget exhibit for that, because I'm sure Event-Tacular will be doing that, so we'll just support it.
All right, next thing is beachfront improvements.
Okay, beachfront improvements. We had we're planning a reconfiguration of the south point of the beach, and basically it was spurred by three things. One was the Love installation the Business Association spearheaded, which was put in the spring, right, Craig?
4th of July.
Well, I'm sorry, 4th of July. And it's great, but if you go down there and look, it's a little cluttered with the existing kiosk, so you have to tourists have to kind of get around that to take pictures and that type of thing. We have two additional opportunities that have come up. As you know, Jen's been working with the Coastal Zone Management Program for new kiosk storyboards, and then we were offered a 7-foot maquette of Neptune from the two fellows, the Richmond Director of Park Operations in the City of Richmond, and the sculptor, free. So it's an opportunity to reorganize that area to make it more appealing for tourists to take pictures and that type of thing. And in your package is a little sketch of what we're planning to do. We're going to move the kiosk over to kind of about where the handicap ramp is, Dave. Build a little platform there. And that will, of course, include beach safety information. And then we'll install Neptune along the pathway to our little restroom and shower facility there at the beach. So the Love installation will be framed between the fishing pier and Neptune. That area will be cleaned out so people can more easily take pictures and that sort of thing. We will be spending a little bit of money, of course, doing that and moving that stuff around and pouring the concrete base for the Neptune statue. So that's what we're planning.
Sounds good.
I disagree.
Okay.
You know, when you look at this, and I don't totally disagree, obviously, but, we've got a sewage pumping station, we've got a bus shelter, we've got a bathroom. We have, I think there's a Meteor Crater sign out there, we've got a love sign, we've got a pier, we've got a handicap ramp, and we have a kiosk. That whole area, to me, none of that goes together, it's pretty junky. We have an opportunity here, I think, to do something a little better with Neptune rather than slamming in there with all of that other stuff. We got this brand new linear park coming down Washington Avenue on the north end of the beach where there's nothing. So why don't we consider putting Neptune down there by himself as opposed to just throwing him in here with everything else as part of terminus of that park area.
I like that, because it's forgotten down there.
Yeah,
However, that is the both. That man.
May I speak?
Go for it.
You have security cameras at this end of the beach, just in case it gets vandalized.
so we can see him vandalizing as opposed to just. But I appreciate that. But I just think there's too much stuff there. I mean, this is an opportunity. It's a brand new developed area down there. Maybe we put a security camera down there. And, you know, use Neptune as the anchor for that end of it. I mean, you know, I think he's better off by himself down there as opposed to being in with all that other stuff. I like it.
What is Neptune's composition?
It's an epoxy resin, epoxy resin.
You put them coming out of the sea.
Will I be able to see it from my back?
We'd have to do some major modifications down there to put Neptune.
We are doing major
Well,
modifications.
not yet, we're not doing it.
Well, hopefully, if all goes well, we're actually, VDOT is coming over, December 2nd to meet with us, to make sure we understand what we're getting into for phase 2 of the trail. And hopefully we're going to get authorization to bid the project soon after that. It'll start, hopefully they'll probably start construction in February, and it's about a 7-month project. I don't know when that node will be done down there. We are going to redo that and have parking there. I certainly wouldn't want to put Neptune there while we're.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the construction scheduling, could we, I mean, I would think they'd work from one end to the other.
I don't know, we gotta talk to them. I think I'd like to get them off the beach.
First, yeah.
Yeah, and particularly since we've got so much erosion now, anybody's been down there, but the stormwater pipe is exposed. So we gotta get that armored. We could start there and have them work backwards, not backwards, but have them work east and get that in shape for the summer. I mean, it's a preferable thing to do. If you find a spot for that.
It could be a nice location for Neptune, regardless of where we put Neptune. This part of the beach here, near the fishing pier, that still, I think, should be reorganized.
Absolutely.
Because it's, with the love sign, the love sign doesn't appear very well. And I don't know, maybe that's a good thing. You got Neptune, you got the porpoise, you got the love sign, and it sort of goes along the trail.
Well, I was just thinking if we are gonna put Neptune down there, I'm not really sure what the layout looks like now, but would Land Studio wanna know that, and maybe they could design around that? Or is there room, do you think there's room with what they've got going down to put him down there and just?
I could, yeah, well, let me take a look. We also could put it, you know, west of the concrete boardwalk, right in the dune. We could put it there. We just have to stay off Mr. Schlager's property.
Well, and maybe if we're going to ask them to do that, maybe we ask them where they think each of these items should be located. I kind of like the love sign at the point, but one could move it next to the gazebo. If you wanted to, you could do that. You have the porpoise, which I think is really nice. That could be at the end. There's some variation there. I don't know if it makes a difference which you put where, but let's at least think about that. If we're going to spread things out and we're going to have it along the trail, then let's give that some thought.
Well, the love sign is not a permanent fixture either. The love sign can be moved.
It can.
So that can be where we want to put it.
I'd like to respond to the police chief's deep concern over the vandalism. If I remember correctly, within the first night, there was a conch shell out of our love sign, and then the baskets were carted away with the help of tourists were being helpful.
No, we took the basket. We took the baskets. They weren't secured, so.
Oh, you took them?
We took them.
I was told they were stolen.
One disappeared.
I think one.
One disappeared.
One was
The same thing happened with Dolphin. I mean, they destroyed the Dolphin. That used to have a water hose that would water out of it. They turned that over and broke it in a couple of pieces that had to be repaired, so.
Water used to come out of the telephone?
What happened to Betty Hall's fish, the largest?
That was torn down in the hurricane,
Okay.
and the wind got it and ripped it all up.
Fish was recreated.
Okay, yeah, so guys, we're gonna, so we don't need a motion on this, but you got the sense of what the town council is. Okay?
Well, one thing, artists are tag sensitive. So, how about I give the artist feedback when he comes over and, I'll tell him, send him some stuff and say, we're thinking about putting here, we're thinking about putting here. What do you want? Just so we get there, I think it's great.
And we're about to have some sort of thank you ceremony.
Yeah, we'll do a little plaque and have a ceremony and stuff like that.
Okay. What do we got next? The beachfront improvements we did, parking lease.
Yes, Heather, before she left, had started working with the railroad on obtaining lease parking. We had to finish that up with amending the proposed lease to provide access, ingress on both sides. And we have done so with Mr. Lamont. And you see the layout. The access on the east basically goes over that paved section of the parking lot that Bay Coast Railroad owns. And is aligned with Beach Street. And then on the western end, access would go over, it's on a diagonal there because the property line is on the diagonal. That property line is between Riverside Medical Center and the Tavi property. Bay Coast Railroad has an easement over the Tavi property there, and we would use that easement to access the parking lot from that side. The lease offered was $1,300 a year for 20 years, adjustable by the change in CPI, and all improvements at the cost of the lessee, which is us. It is going to require some improvements. There are some low spots in there, and we actually talked about this a little bit when we, at the work session, we reviewed the draft CPI. I still have that estimate in there of $10,000. We were thinking, minimal improvements right off the bat. I know there was some discussion in the work session about making larger improvements to the area. I had always envisioned this as sort of an overflow parking thing, mainly for events. And I think we can phase the improvements depending on what else we do with parking. If we do reverse angle parking, that picks up a batch of spaces. But we can certainly improve it to whatever extent council wants it improved.
Okay, so this is something that will require a motion, so what I'll do is I'll take a motion in a second and we'll discuss it.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All right, it's open for discussion now. Anyone have any comments or questions?
I have a question on page 4 of the backup,
Page 4.
paragraph 21.
Okay.
I understand real estate taxes are responsibility of the landlord. I'm wondering what kind of property we, as a tenant, would be considering installing and whether or not it would be taxable.
No.
We don't tax ourselves, do we?
No, it's true. This is a standard lease. Under Virginia law, substantial leasehold improvements are taxable pro rata. So, for example, the shanty. But you're right. It doesn't apply to us because we're a nonprofit.
Even though it's in the contract.
Yeah, it's
because
just
we're a tenant. Okay.
Well,
just sounded weird to me.
Yes, it's a throwaway.
it's just taxes attributable to the property. There are no taxes attributable to any property that we have or might have.
That's
So,
what I brought up.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
We can strike it, but it really doesn't mean anything one way or the other.
Even if we put stuff there, even if we put light posts there, or if we
Still,
put
no.
a couple of benches there, or left away. Okay, great, that was my one question.
Any other questions?
Yeah, paragraph 5 says it will be increased by the percentage of the CPI increased. So it can go up, but it will never go down. Or will it go down to $1,300, but not lower than 13?
And the annual should be increased over the prior year's fee. Yeah, it's an interesting point. I mean, the CPI would only go down in a period of deflation. I mean, it's possible. I mean, we could amend that and say we'll just change per the change
Yeah.
of the CPI, just in case we hit a period of deflation.
What were you going to amend it to?
Beginning the second year of the agreement, the annual rent shall be adjusted by the same percentage change in the CPI. Is that?
When it goes down, it goes down, if it goes up, it goes up.
I mean, no one will probably live to see that, but you never know.
You never know.
But you never know. So I'll adjust it with language like that, just so it just ties the change to the CPI one way or the other.
Okay, and paragraph 11 and 13 seem to be in conflict to me, but at the end of paragraph 11 says, any and all such improvements, repairs, utilities installed, and buildings erected on the premises will become the property of the landlord at the cancellation or termination of the lease. And in 13 it says, tenant upon expiration of the term, remove its goods and effects and peacefully yield up the demised property in a clean condition.
I'm sorry, I was making where
11 and 13. This last sentence here says, the landlord gets any improvements that we make, and this one says we remove everything we put on there and leave it in a clean condition.
Yeah, that is a conflict. We will clarify that. Let me ask you this, do we want any property?
No, I just think they'll be, whatever it is, it'll be consistent. I mean, if we make improvements and then we leave, I don't think we can't take them, particularly if we're gonna be paving it or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, it should.
Okay,
There
Well,
might
sure.
be improvements that we could take.
Yeah,
There might be.
if you have a
I
garden
mean,
house.
we could assume, for example, that if we're putting in lights, equivalent to street lights, so that it's safe at night, and they're consistent with the street lights we have on Mason Avenue, that we might like to relocate them to other streets in the town that could use those street lights. That's a capital investment. If we put in benches, for example, we might want to relocate to elsewhere in town, since we own them.
all right, how about I go back to them and make it then consistent with 13, which says,
Well,
get your stuff out.
how about you make it that,
Well, I mean,
remove or let them remain at the tenant's option. If we put in paving, we're not gonna remove the paving.
right.
I don't want to do that.
If we put in streetlights, we might wanna remove the streetlights, or we might not wanna remove the streetlights. Let's not tie ourselves down, but let's give ourselves the option of taking things if we need to take them.
Everybody
I don't see him
good with that? I don't think they'll.
agreeing with that, but we can propose it.
Yeah, and if not, well, you can put in some other words that are,
I mean, it's a parking lot. I really wouldn't see us relocating light poles or, I can't see us putting benches there either. We could.
I think you have to have light poles, maybe.
We will have to put benches there. I don't see us removing them and putting them somewhere else.
well,
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
I think
Well, is the consensus harmonize 11 and 13
I'm not sure what paragraph 6 means.
That paragraph paid some lawyer's salary.
Yeah.
I'm sure it did, maybe many.
I think,
lawyers
well,
now.
I think what it means is that if we breach, if there's a breach in the contract and we don't pay the rent, that they can, any improvements we put on the property, they can sell.
It says laws. Laws that exempt any property.
Right.
So that's what you're, okay.
In everyone, front loaded and safe, so if there, it says, don't come and say you can't sell it because it belongs to me, you just wait. So I think that's only if we're in default contract, don't pay the rent, then we're given the right to
Okay.
sell our light poles.
So look, excuse me, any further questions? All right, since we're gonna have some modifications to this, I think this needs to go back, be done, and be voted on. I believe, I don't know if I table this or if there's another vote to table this. Can we do that since there's a motion on the table? We need to deal with the motion.
Withdraw the motion.
We do have a motion.
We have a motion and a second.
Call for a vote.
Well, you're withdrawing the motion.
Can you withdraw the motion?
Yeah.
Make a motion to withdraw the motion.
All right, we'll find out how to work this out.
Why are you withdrawing the motion?
Yeah, why don't we just vote on it?
Because we've got modifications to the
We're
lease.
not gonna pass it.
You can just do that.
That's fine.
Maybe.
All right, that's easy. No, that's easy. That's fine. That's fine.
Am I withdrawing my motion? Withdraw the motion.
Yeah, withdraw your motion.
I withdraw my motion. Withdraw
Okay.
my motion.
You didn't have as much fun with Dora, did you?
No, it's just.
All right. All in favor? Any in favor? Of moving forward with this lease as it was before the modifications. Opposed?
All right.
Say nay.
Nay.
Nay. Okay.
Okay.
Motion's
Okay,
failed.
now I make a motion to table this until we get the language of the,
Second? Yes. All in favor?
all right,
My motion table is carried. Thank you. Okay, next is the Bank of America franchise tax refund. Sorry to keep you so long, Debbie.
That's okay. For as many years as Bank of America was in town, we enjoyed franchise tax fees. We collected from them. It was 80% of what the state rate of franchise tax was. They're no longer in town, but they were reviewing records and discovered that they had overestimated their net capital, which is the basis for the franchise tax, for 2010, 11, and 12. Virginia Department, and this is across in the whole state. So the Virginia Department of Taxation did a thorough audit and found that they were, indeed, they did overpay us and every locality and the state. So we were notified that we have two options for repayment. A total amount that Cape Charles owes is $14,464, which if you look in your the backup documentation, you'll see that it's quite a bit less than the rest of the localities. It's a little impactful. Option A would be we'd have to pay the entire amount in full by December 31st with no interest whatsoever. The amount paid would be $14,464. Option B would be we would pay it in full by June 1st, 2016, including interest at an average rate of 14.8%. The total amount paid would be $16,380. Staff would prefer option A, would save us $1,916 in interest. we'd like to discuss and decide option A or B and allow the mayor to execute the refund payment agreement in time to either pay it or to get it in on time if it's due.
I make a motion that we authorize the mayor to execute the refund payment in full using option A.
Second? Second. Discussion?
Yeah, I have discussion.
I do too, but
This thing happened in tax years 2010, 11, and 12. It's now November 20th, 2014. They underestimated or overestimated their payment, right? We didn't.
Correct.
And now they're demanding we pay by the end of the year, or we have to pay interest? Why don't we go off the seat and say we're not paying?
That's per code, Virginia code. If you impose an interest on someone is due to pay you taxes, if they overpay, you must give them the same rate that you would charge them had they underpaid.
Yeah, when I look back here at these rates that they're quoting,
You
let's see,
per the rate that the state was using at that time period.
20%? They have some rates in here that were absolutely ridiculous. A different rate for each year?
If you had not paid your taxes to the state, they would have imposed that interest on you.
Okay.
That's
This
why it's
is
stuck.
the bank.
Oh, I know.
I mean, they weren't paying that interest to anybody.
No, the state though.
No,
The state.
What am I
sets-
missing?
yeah, what Deb, let me try. What Deb's saying, what the Virginia code says is that if you refund, if somebody overpaid and you refund, the interest rate would be the same in that year as if you had underpaid and you paid,
Interested
you
state.
got caught and you got paid, and you had to pay the state. And that would be the same interest rate. Is that what you're
That's
saying?
exactly right.
Okay. And if you've ever underpaid your taxes, I can tell you it's pretty stunning what you pay, and the penalties and.
I guess my question would be, I know you don't like the SSD, but I assume that that's not what it sounds like to me.
That's true. They've done a lot of work, a lot of conference calls, a lot of studies and audits, and it's a done deal. We just pick A or B. And
Okay, my question is, do we have the finances to pay the option A without going into offers? So, I mean,
Well, the good news, the good news is that we finally got, today, was it today? We got our final VDH grant reimbursement for the, what the heck was it for now, Dave?
The TER for the THM.
THMs, and it's been a struggle with VDH, and that was budgeted, that revenue was budgeted 2 fiscal years ago, so it's unbudgeted revenue that just came in today, and it's $15,000.
Merry Christmas.
It's just coincidence, that's
all
all.
up here somewhere, you get some money and then it goes away as a rule somewhere like that.
It's just coincidence. We've been struggling with them for 2 years to get that reimbursement.
Okay, I have a question here. Did the Bank of America pay all its property taxes for those years?
I'm sure.
Well,
There's
there's
nothing delinquent that I've seen.
business,
I'll look, though.
business
I'll look.
property taxes, business license, did they get their business license?
I'll look and see if we can, but it would be separate. We'd have to pay and then go after them. We couldn't.
Oh, yeah,
We couldn't.
yeah, no, absolutely. But I think, I don't know what other taxes they might be subject to. I think it's probably, well, there's a business property, there's the business license.
personal property.
Real property, business property.
Right.
Yeah, there's no personal
And
property
business.
taxes for the bank, but there's business property taxes.
It's all.
It's the same
one
thing.
person.
Different breed.
I will look.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion on the table and seconded. Are there any other questions or discussions? All right, all in favor of paying using option A, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Me.
One opposed.
It's ridiculous.
$13 million.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
Okay, town elections.
Elections.
It's gotten cooler, David.
Okay, Libby prepared this staff report, but since she's much better doing her clerk duties than I am, unless you want to do it. No. This is the issue of when town elections are held. Obviously, we hold them in May. We do have to pay for that. Last year, we paid almost $1,500 for that election. Studies have shown that turnouts are greater for local elections when they're combined with state and federal elections, and we've got the data there that shows that. So we want to put on the table the option of changing the town elections to be held in November as opposed to May. This would require a change to our town charter, which has to go through the General Assembly. They have to pass a law changing the charter, and we would need to do it in the next General Assembly session, for it to take effect in time for the next election. So that's the proposition.
I'd like to say let it stay like it is in May. When you get into the national elections, which is, and it's, there's so much going on, so many telephone calls. I mean, people are aggravated by it. I think when we do it in May, it's just us. And by God, it was worth $1,500 to get elected this year.
I agree with you.
Beg your pardon?
I agree with Chris 100%. I'm not interested.
It's just us and nobody else.
I personally would prefer to see us do it in November. I was going to ask this to be put on the agenda for discussion.
Would you like to
I
support?
agree with you, Joan. I think it's better to get the higher turnout,
I do.
and it's guaranteed. It's not as much fun campaigning in November.
What's guaranteed?
You're gonna get a higher voter turnout.
Maybe.
Well, maybe
It
about.
will be a higher voter turnout, but I think we get lost as on the national, because the national level is it's just us and nothing else, and they can really look at us and see how wonderful we are or how bad we are.
We
I
certainly
think,
have plenty of
if we're
things.
going to discuss this, I think you need to have all 6 council members here instead of 4 of us.
Well, I'll tell you what, at this point, if we take a vote, I'm going to vote in favor of keeping them where they are.
No doubt in my mind, I'm going to
You what? I'm sorry to say what?
I said, it's that way, I'm going to vote. I mean, I'm going to vote it
Do we have a motion yet?
No, we don't have a motion yet. We're just, staff recommends discussion.
And a decision.
And a decision, but there's no voting here. There's no, what would we
There's
have to
voting
do?
if I make a motion. When I make a motion, we move the town election to November.
I second the motion.
There's more discussion.
Okay? We're discussion.
We're in my discussion.
Okay, well, go ahead. You want to call the vote? Call the vote.
To Sandler's point, we can table this until the next council meeting. If you want to
I
vote.
believe that it may be too late.
You can't do that now. unless
There's
you-
a deadline for
Yes,
the
you
bill
can.
is the beginning of January for the General Assembly.
It has to be,
The legislatures have to submit it to the General Assembly,
is
so
there any further
we would have to
discussion?
wait till the next election, 2018.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All right, let's take a vote. All in favor of changing the elections to November, say aye.
Aye.
I want a roll call vote, please.
A roll call vote it is.
Natalie, yes.
Bennett, I'm sorry, Bennett.
And
Bennett, yes.
Brian, no.
I have the tie, the deciding vote, I am voting no.
oh,
Okay.
What a surprise.
it's here.
I didn't want to come back to that.
That's great.
Reverse angle, has this ever happened before?
Oh, yeah.
We're at a tie.
Oh,
But
yeah.
my record is intact. And any time I vote in the last 6.5 years, the mayor has never voted the same way I have.
Make that part of the minute.
Okay, authorize VDOT request for angle parking,
Okay.
reverse angle parking.
Reverse angle park. I'll do my best, Rob, Testament in person. This is the recommendation that came out of the Planning Commission. They have been studying reverse angle parking for some time. And what that is, if you don't know, you just reverse the angle of the parking and you pull up in front of it and then you back in. And there's a document appended to this that documents the improvements in safety for reverse angle parking. The nice thing about angle parking of any type, whether it's pull in or reverse angle, is that you get more parking spots per linear feet. And Rob, before he left, did a little walkabout, and depending on where you start it, if you go from all Mason Avenue, you pick up 50 to 55 parking spaces. If you do the more central business district, basically starting from Plum Street to Bay Avenue, we get about 35 parking spaces. We can't do this on our own. We need to get VDOT's approval. So the recommendation based on the Planning Commission work is to authorize staff to develop a request to VDOT to implement reverse angle parking. If there is room for reverse angle parking, 2 travel lanes, as well as parallel parking on the south side of Mason Avenue. If it's approved, we would, the expense of repainting the lines would fall to the town. VDOT would not do that. So that's the...
Do they pay for parallel parking strips?
No.
Okay.
No. We have, for example, when we redid the force main on Mason Avenue and ripped that up, we had to repay this.
I move that we authorize staff to develop a request to VDOT to consider the proposal of reverse angle parking on Mason Avenue for the entire length of Mason Avenue.
Second.
I believe it would be less confusing if it's all of Mason Avenue, first of all. I believe that it's more likely to be traffic calming on the entire Mason Avenue because now the lanes for traffic will be smaller, narrower, still safe, but people will probably go a little bit slower. And I think that it also plans for our future parking needs on the eastern end of Mason Avenue.
Any other comments?
I'd like to ask if there's any comments from the police.
I just want to make sure the road's wide enough. That would be the big.
Well, I mean, the use of parking.
VDOT would have to answer.
Yeah, well, I saw, yeah, they used to park that way.
I would
I
just say,
just made a comment to him, there goes wrong direction traffic parking.
I would ask that the police department be very considerate of people who just visiting, who just pull in this straight in.
It would be kind of hard to pull straight in, that's the reverse angle.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going the other way.
Coming up this,
Yeah, well, cost like
going
that.
Just
east,
pull across and
right,
pull in.
get in.
Yeah.
Or we can have a meter maid running around just tagging people up.
So you pull up the back in it?
Yes.
It's basically the
And
first
that's
2
gonna,
3-point turns.
that's gonna be on the south side, Mason, or north side?
The north side only.
I'm a little concerned there on pickup trucks and backing in, and you got a lot of stuff that's right on the edge of that curve. You would need to take into consideration, maybe you need to put some parking bumpers or something to not let these pickups and long wheelbase trucks back into there.
Where there's a light pole or a bench.
Light pole
something
or a
like that.
bush or, you know, where some of our curb cuts are right up against it.
Yeah, we could do that, and if they authorize it, we could do that as we plan it out.
This is something that the Commonwealth just approved last year or earlier this year, so this was not even permitted by law until very recently in the state.
Well,
A lot of our street on Mason Avenue, from the library to Bailey's, Bait and Tackle, is everything is right on the edge of that curve. A lot of stuff is right on the edge of that curve, so you're gonna have to be real careful how far they back in there. A car maybe won't be a problem, but I know I take my pickup back in there, I'm not gonna take up half the.
You'll probably lose a couple on each corner. I mean, you can hardly see now, somebody's parked in the last spot, you gotta ease out.
Of the
So
merchants,
this would be the north.
I don't think anybody's asking merchants.
no, are the merchants who have the stuff in the state right away? You know, that's what they're in, there's stuff that they have up in front of their stores on. That's the straight right away, move them back in, I know there was.
Yes,
It
the
is.
state does the state right away.
Yeah, first
They take
well, there is a portion of it is state right away, some of it is not, depends on how far out.
The curbside is not.
Oh, no, curbside is curbside. No, I agree with you.
It goes to where the.
Including the trees.
What's that?
Yeah.
Including the trees.
Including the trees, yeah.
Some place you can't even back up there.
The tree would win.
Well,
I think it's something to try, because we seem to be in a parking panic issue.
So you probably have to go out and survey, see which parking areas, you say we're gonna gain so many parking areas, but some of those you will not gain because of the trees.
And I think, that we just make the request and then start thinking about all these things in the
And I think
meantime.
DDOT will.
Because DDOT's not going to say yes next week.
No, and they're gonna probably consider some of it.
Yeah.
Writing their decision.
Well, even if there's a tree up there, certainly that space would be available for a car. And if we do put at the curb end of the, one of those things called concrete blocks, and, well, truck's not gonna get in there, but a car will, or a truck can only get in so far. But I think there are ways to handle it.
but I'll see what. Okay, so we had some discussion. I have a few concerns about people backing into other people's cars as they back up. But let's let the guy do his thing and tell us what's going to happen here. I'd like to go forward with the study done. So is there any other discussion? I'm sorry, Jim, what were you going to say?
I'm just talking about pulling in, backing in, and there's enough illegal U-turns that clip cars down, that's just gonna help that.
Well, you probably have to start enforcing that more so than we've been doing in the past.
True.
Because if you got a car here and a car here, you just gotta make a good turn to get out.
Okay.
So really would be an illegal turn.
So any further discussion? All in favor of going forward to request a VDOT to do the study?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. The last thing is a connection charge payment plan.
And to clarify, the motion was for
I beg your pardon.
the entire line.
Yeah.
The entire length, correct? Sorry. No, that's all right. The entire length. Connection charge payment plan.
We have had a request from a gentleman that's getting ready to purchase a piece of property over on Washington Avenue. He would like to prepay the utility charges, the 12,000 some odd dollars that we charge for water and sewer utility fees and charges. And we had the prepayment plan before when we were getting ready to increase the charges from $10,000 to $20,000, and then of course once the increase once it was increased to $20,000, that payment plan option went away. Nobody wanted to keep, we didn't have the prepayment plan for the $20,000. Nobody wanted to pay it anyway.
And we got about, I think, 15 or so.
Yeah.
Prepays.
Probably a dozen or so, yeah. And so what we would like to do is reopen this prepayment plan, either for like a certain amount of time, maybe some people would come in and take advantage of it, or for the full extent of the time that the fee remains at $12,000, but open it up for a period, however we, decide to do it, so that, so that, people can take advantage of this. And that we can collect some fees if people so desire.
I have a motion to,
I'd like to make a motion that we allow for new or current purchasers of property to prepay utility connection charges at the current level, subject to the town manager's approval.
I second the motion.
And I said current specifically so that we are treating all of our current and future property owners consistently. I'm just telling you why I said it.
I'm good with that current. It's the second current that I have a question about. Why would we limit this to the current level?
Because that's what their recommendation was.
But why? Why wouldn't you just implement it for no matter what?
For eternity, I think.
Why wouldn't you want somebody to prepay?
Why would you? Exactly. I can't think of an instance where we would want that.
No matter what the fee was, whether it was 12,000, 20,000, or 5,000.
I think we only put that in there to provide a hard point for council to reconsider.
I have no problem.
We're perfectly fine with
I have no problem with just taking out current to prepay.
Do you mind
utility
amending
connection
your
charges.
motion, Joe, to take out the second current?
I do not.
Okay,
I'll
so,
second the amended motion.
okay, I have a question. With regard to current property owners, my understanding is that the motivation for this was someone who was selling one piece of property and buying another.
it. Yeah, it was a 1031 exchange.
Correct. Does that mean that he owns the property at the time of the exchange, so he's going to pay that, as he's going to get a mortgage and pay that? What I don't want to do is to have this be that he can't take advantage of it because he doesn't get on the property when he gets the mortgage.
No, when he closes, he owns.
Okay, so, okay,
Exchange, right?
Yeah.
okay, so it's an
It's the
exchange.
second current was in there. I mean, if he prepays now at 12,000 and it builds 5 years from now when it's 20,000.
Well, right,
So that's the advantage for him.
that's the advantage.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Now,
Can you
might
repeat-
want to
can you
consider
repeat
this
the
argument to do
motion?
the same thing that we did before. If it's 12,000 now and it goes to 6,000, are we going to reimburse him that $6,000?
Didn't say that.
We've done, didn't we, if I'm not mistaken, we did that when we brought the rates with the people that it.
we did, council opted to do,
They weren't
Yes.
prepaid, they were the people that had to pay.
I'd have to,
Well,
I can't remember anymore.
yeah,
I think this kind of depends. $20,000 is a huge rate. On the other hand, if we would do something like that where we would reimburse 12 years in the future, do all the people who paid and built 12 years,
I would say no.
do they get their money back too?
Well, the council at that point could make that determination. I don't think, y'all need to.
Right now, they cannot.
They cannot.
Because there's nothing on the books that says it.
Okay, so that's not going to open that door. This
No, because my motion was to allow new or current purchasers of property to prepay utility connection charges subject to town manager approval.
yeah, I think we're fine with that. There's only one current here. Current or future.
But in 10 years.
Yeah.
Current.
Now, new purchases or current owners? of
Right.
property?
New or current purchasers, it's actually new
Or current owners.
purchasers or current property owners.
Right.
It's close
Who
enough,
worded
yeah.
it properly, but
All right, so we have a motion
And a second.
and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Can I ask a question? Are we, this was kind of like we were going to institute a payment plan
Right.
for now. Now it almost sounds like we are amending the town code. No, we're not.
Nope.
We're not. We're just going to open a payment plan that's open-ended.
It's just a payment option, not a plan.
Payment option.
It's a payment
Right,
option.
Payment option that's open-ended, The town code remains the same.
Yes, and somebody can still come in and purchase without prepaying, and then they fall into the normal procedure that they pay.
Actually, I do have a question before we vote. Does that mean that someone could make payments, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000? It's
And
only
that
prepaid.
is probably subject to the town manager approval.
That's what I'm wondering.
No, this is to prepay in one
Prepay
lump
in
sum.
full.
In full.
Okay.
And that's prepaid.
In full.
Although, by the way, I don't know why we wouldn't take
Cost booking.
Staff work.
Well, we'll bring that to council.
another day.
No,
Another day.
don't bring that to this day.
Yeah, at this level, I don't see, a residential purchaser having an issue with that. This will allow somebody, if they opt to roll it into a mortgage or a 1031 exchange. And they're happy. I think most of the installment plans are gonna wind up where you have a big commercial development and it's a big connection charge and the developer's gonna want to negotiate some sort of an installment plan. Just my view.
All right. Are we ready to vote? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thanks.
Thank you. That concludes the new business. We are going to go into mayor and council comments what I would like to do, Ms. Davis has come back. She didn't have an opportunity to speak if she wishes to. No?
No, but I can make a comment since you called me. I didn't put anything. This was the first one I had a chance to come to, so that's why I was here.
Go for it.
But since the door is open, I have a question because I hear VDOT mentioned quite often. And my question is in reference to the streets and avenues that were done not too long ago. Did we get a fantastic price on that? Where we allowed them to do it because they did not do a very good job at all. And I think if we ever do that again, it needs to be redone really. If you take time, and I've talked about it before, just riding around, and you can see parts of the streets that weren't even done. And I know it's a fast job, but it was poorly done, and I think the money was not well spent.
We got a great deal, right?
Yeah.
Cost us nothing.
No, that's not talking about sidewalks. They did a slurry seal many of the streets, and we don't pay for that, and we have no option. That's their deal.
That's what they choose.
Who's that? The state?
VDOT.
So my tax dollars paid for.
Indeed.
So I need to contact the state.
That's correct.
Indeed.
I can do that.
Thank you.
It's the type application. It's not like coming in and repaving.
All right, we'll roll into mayor and council comments. Mrs. Talley?
I have nothing to say.
Okay, thank you.
I have about the curbs. Some of the curbs are cracking in town, the new curbs were being put in, so I got the other day about it. And also like the sidewalk in front of the post office is sort of crumbling in front of our eyes.
If you can tell us specifics, VDOT is coming in to redo some of this, so if you can give us specific locations, we'll put that on the VDOT list.
Okay, just to back up a little bit, VDOT came in because Dave called them. They had two guys come in and walk the entire town looking for defective sidewalks. And they say they only found 5, which were the ones in front of the post office. But if you know of others, get in contact with Dave. That's not, they didn't put them in. You're right, they're defective, but the VDOT didn't do those.
Yeah, actually, we did those, and that was damaged, I think.
The ones out here?
Yeah, I think that was salt application. Very nice. So I tried to slip that by them, but they knew they didn't.
So curbs, sidewalks, any of those things, let Dave know, and we'll see if we can't get them fixed.
One comment, a lot of the curb cracking may be because I've seen it with my own eyes, you know, they do a curb and here comes somebody redoing a house or whatever, getting delivered, and the damn delivery truck backs right up on the curb and it cracks. And that goes into the too bad, so sad.
It is, it does.
I don't have anything, Mr. Mayor.
Steve? I don't have anything. I appreciate all your time here and your coming out. I have a few announcements to read, and then we'll adjourn. November 25th will be my office hours at the Civic Center from 6 to 8. The town offices are closed on Thanksgiving, November 26th, and also the 27th and 28th. The November 29th is the Cape Charles Historical Society Oyster Roast. December 4th, we will have a town council work session. December 5th, the Northampton County Chamber of Commerce Holiday Tasting Tour will be held. I guess I've been drafted into the little skit that they're going to be doing in the beginning, so you can come and boo or whatever. And by the way, given my memory at this point in my life, I'm probably going to be reading it. December 6th is a light and boat parade and golf cart parade and the grand illumination. December 13th is the Cape Charles Volunteer Fire Company's Tool Mania. And then the December Town Council meeting will be December 8th. 18th, thank you.
The Epiphany party this year will be on Lee Jackson King weekend, January 17th.
And there is a public hearing this Saturday at 10 a.m.
Correct. Here.
Here, on the comp plan, right?
Correct.
Public input session.
Public input session.
All right, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Second? Second. All in favor? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.